Well, just to kind of get us started, guys, as you guys know, we're going on a series which is called The 6 Behaviors of a Powerful Team. And we've been working really diligently at trying to unite ourselves as a unit so that we can all together go to this next level. And that's really our main goal as a company. It isn't just for us to become a successful company, it's to have a successful team within the company that is able to influence and feed nations. Because if you really think about it, an organization, it's really strong, and it's only strong based on the strength of its people. And that's really what our goal is, again, guys, is to really develop each and every one of you and help you to grow. Now, if you remember the beginning of the series, when we were talking about the first component of having a powerful team, we had you guys take a test. In a minute, I'm going to give you some results. But what we started doing was building on those behaviors that consist of the most successful teams that are on this planet. And if you recall, the very first one was trust. These were teams that the most successful teams had a really high level of trust with each other and with the organization. They also were able to deal with conflict successfully. In other words, they turned conflict into an opportunity to get better, to improve. And they, instead of actually turning it into an actual wedge between them, it became a tool for them to actually draw closer and work together as a unit. Last week, Luis talked about commitment and being committed to one another, and how, if you guys remember, part of that commitment requires sacrifice. And we all have to be willing to sacrifice for each other in order to make sure that we are growing and we're reaching the next level. But what's beautiful about this, and what I'm going to talk about next, is the point I'm going to share with you today and this week. It is literally impossible for us to accomplish that behavior if we don't already have trust, if we don't already have a balanced way that we deal with conflict, and if we don't already have a commitment that is established for one another. Because if you don't have a commitment to each other, you'll never be able to reach this next step, which is what we're going to talk about today, which is called accountability. Now, when I say the word accountability, most people, when they hear the word accountability, it's a dirty word, it's a bad word. Oh, that means I'm in trouble. And if you remember from previous series, when I talked about personal development, I have an accountability partner. And I am certain that I have reached heights that I never imagined possible, not because of how great I am, but because of how great the accountability team that's around me, that's constantly challenging me to stay focused on what matters, to really drive for excellence, not just existence. And so what I want to do real quick before we step into this is I want to read you a basic description of what accountability is. And notice how it says, accountability occurs when individuals' reliability deliver on their commitments, showing others that they can be trusted to do what they said they'll do. And you see, what happens with accountability is when you're accountable to somebody is you're willing to trust, you're willing to go through the conflict, and you're showing your commitment to them. And you're saying with all transparency, this is what I want to accomplish, and this is what I'm going to do. And that accountability session allows you the opportunity to come back and say, these are the results. This is what I did. And that accountability aspect, to a degree, it's kind of intimate, because that means that I'm going to have to be willing to share with you whether I made that goal or I didn't make the goal, right? But what's amazing about that accountability, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, is just the power that is behind it. The moment you become yourself accountable to somebody, it's incredible how it unlocks the next level for you. And most people who dread it never reach that next level. So let me kind of give you some information with regards to where we are as a team. And then I'm going to give you information with regards to why having accountability is so critical. So if you guys recall, in the very beginning of our session, we did an actual exam, and it was a test that we had everyone across the board do. There were over 23 people that took the test. Some people were not able to finish it, which is why you see some of these really deep spikes down here. But to kind of give you a visual, based on the test scores for the accountability aspect, pretty much anything below this line means we have to have some desperate work to be done. This kind of is the middle of the line, which means we need to improve if there's anything underneath that. And then, of course, this basically means this is the highest standard. So you're doing extremely well here. Now, this orange line that looks like the stock market is actually an individual visual of each and every one of the members who took this test. And so as you can see, some people have high level of accountability. Others people don't feel like they have enough higher level of accountability, and so on and so forth. And what we're seeing here is this is the actual average between every single person that took the test. So the good news is we're not below the threshold. The bad news is we're not above great. So what does that mean for us as a team? It means that we have an opportunity to improve upon our accountability, which I believe that if we commit to that together as a team, the results we'll get in the future will be astronomical, and we will see the results of our team being more and more united each and every week so that together we achieve more, okay? So that's the results that we have of the test. And again, thank you guys for being so transparent and sharing your hearts, because that's the only way that an organization can improve, is when the team members are willing to be candid and honest and share with each other. So now let's talk about why accountability is so powerful. You see, accountability breeds responsibility, as Stephen Covey says. And the reason why I believe accountability is so important, check this out, don't just take my words for it, is the American Society of Training and Development did a study on accountability and found that you have a 65% chance of completing a goal if you commit to someone, which is what we talked about last week. And if you have a specific accountability appointment with the person you've committed to, you will increase your chances of success by up to 95%. So just think about the difference here, guys, between committing to somebody and saying, I'm going to go after this goal. It increases your chances of success by 65%. But if you take that and you become accountable and set an appointment to have an accountability partner work with you, that elevates your chances of success all the way up to 95%. Now, if I told you that part of the results would lead to income that was beyond what your current income salary is, would you commit to an accountability partner? And I think everybody would say yes. If that means I make more money, then absolutely. But you know what the reality is? All of our income is tied to being able to hit the right results. And so accountability has to become a way of life, a way that we say, I'm not going to settle for less. I'm going to commit to something bigger. I'm going to set an appointment with my accountability partner so that I can push as hard as I can to reach that next goal. And guys, I mean, the numbers are pretty straightforward and they're staggering. 95% success rate for those who have a coach. That's the reason why, as I said before, some of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet pay thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just to have an accountability partner in their corner who will hold them accountable on a weekly basis. So just imagine that's how executives invest their money so that they can become more productive. Now imagine a company that believes so much in you that we're willing to invest our time and resources to hold you accountable and help you not only to be successful at work, but to be successful in life. And that's really what this is all about, guys. We want to really empower each and every one of you to reach that next level. So now I've started researching and doing some diligence with a company called Rhythm Systems. And they have a really incredible model. They in fact help a lot of business owners and a lot of companies to become more and more successful and productive. And what they put together is a really interesting component called the 5 C's of accountability. Now, today we're going to cover these 5 and I'm going to survey them. But over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to start unpacking these a little bit more because I want to help for all of you to really get the big picture. If you want a successful team, if you want to be a part of a successful team, part of developing those behaviors for that powerful team is fully understanding these 5 C's. The first and foremost is a common purpose, understanding your why. Why does this matter? In a minute, I'm going to circle back to that. But one of the things that I want you to understand is the reason why we spent so much time a few weeks back talking about our why, talking about our purpose. Why does Sam every single week read our purpose, right? Why does he read our mission and our vision statement? Why? It's because every single week we want to be reminded of the fact that we are all team members and together we are striving to achieve that very purpose that we talk about on the mission statement every single week. Why? That's why we're here, right? Is to influence and feed nations. We're a company that uses real estate as the vehicle to make a bigger difference in the world. And you guys are part of the team members that get to assist in reaching that goal so that we can make that impact. So the most important thing we have to understand is that as individuals, we are coming together under this vision, under this purpose for one thing, to have unity in purpose. You see, guys, if you can do this all by yourself, but what I have found over the years is that even though I can reach a certain level of success by myself, I have seen that when I collaborate with other people who are driven, who are under the same vision, who have the same desires, when we work together, we achieve so much more. And that is the reason, guys, why as a company, we're trying to bring everybody on board to fully understand our purpose, to understand our mission, and to get to the point where we are working in unity for that purpose. And so that's the very first step. And I believe we're doing a pretty good job at this, but we can always be better. We can never be complacent. So part of my accountability as a leader is I want to find better ways to make this even more and more real. And as we begin to unlock from COVID-19, one of the goals that I have is to start taking little by little, as we were before, some of our team members on the mission field with us so that you can get the heart of the impact that you get to make every time you go to work. There becomes a face to every dollar that you earn. And that's, guys, the main purpose of this company. And we want to unite in that purpose together. The next piece that I think is critical is we need to have clear expectations of who and what, right? What does success look like as a team? And so what does that mean? What that means, guys, is that as a team, we want to have a clear picture and clarity of your objectives and understand that each department has its own objectives. But the question that I want to pose on you is, do you have clarity on what is expected of you? I know that we've spent literally weeks and weeks having individual department meetings and talking about what that role looks like, talking about the importance of those roles. But do you fully understand and have clarity of your direction? If you don't, I apologize, that's on me. And my goal is to elevate you and take you to that next level. So over the next few weeks, part of this whole training of developing these 6 behaviors of a powerful team is to really begin to invest in each and every one of you and help you to get clarity of your objectives so that together we can achieve more, okay? In a minute as well, I'm going to talk about some questions that I would like clarity on that have to do with this piece. But understand, guys, that if we want to be successful, you have to have clarity of your purpose, clarity of your objectives. The third one, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, is communication and alignment, the how. How do we set things up for success? You see, we have to be moving in the same direction in order for us to be successful or to gain any traction, or what we call in the office, unstoppable momentum, right? We have to, each one of us have to be stepping and pushing the needle forward, because as we develop momentum, then before you know it, everybody's catapulted to the next level. In fact, even some of the company's weaknesses can be overcome by the momentum that we generate as a team. And that only happens when everybody is in clear communication with each other and we have an alignment together of moving that machine forward. Now, the problem in most cases is that we begin getting the picture of our goals. We even start getting a clear expectation, but then we start putting ourselves in these little interesting silos where we kind of separate ourselves from everybody else. And we don't have enough frequent communication. And so what that does is it breaks down the communication between your team. And what ultimately happens when there's lack of clear communication and alignment is that they have multiple heads that create division instead of unity. And that can literally be the biggest killer of any and all growth in an organization. So what I want to challenge each and every one of you to do is take that silo away. Let's begin communicating and encouraging one another, and let's make sure that you know how we set ourselves up for success. You may have some great ideas that the company doesn't even know about that could impact another process in another department, but if you don't speak up, if you don't share it, nobody knows. I'll give an example, and I want to give some kudos real quick to one of our guys in Ireland, Damien, who obviously was giving us some good insights with regards to some of the leads. Now, we've invested thousands of dollars in marketing and generating leads and creating opportunities, and we've been doing that consistently. But it wasn't until Damien really spoke up and said, look, these leads are great. These leads aren't doing so well, but some of the leads we had before, they were doing really, really well. What's going on? And so it wasn't until we started getting that communication that we started realigning. And now we're working towards streamlining that marketing campaign to generate more leads that make sense. But now I want to pause for just a minute, and I want you guys to take this picture. Had Damien not shared that feedback with us, how many months could we have gone and spending thousands of dollars on marketing in marketing leads that weren't producing? And so if you really think about it, some people would say, well, who cares? The company's paying for it. That doesn't matter to me. And if that's you, shame on you. But now I'll flip it on you. If you're the one working on those leads, how many months would you have wasted on leads that didn't produce? You see how just that communication alone can help us to get in alignment with what matters. That's a perfect example of what I'm trying to share with you guys is that each and every one of you, you're assets, not a liability. And in order for us to be successful, we have to contribute to one another so that we can improve and get better. I'll give another shout out. We have Amanda. I don't know if she's in here today, but Amanda has been thrown from a completely different organization to working with our underwriting and processing team. And there's a learning curve in everything. And so if it wasn't for her opening up and saying, hey, I feel overwhelmed, we would never have known. And we would never been able to spend that extra time with her to find out what is that balance so that we can help her to become more productive with it, right? And that's still a process. So guys, I want to encourage you. You always need to make sure that you share and you communicate with the team. Now, it doesn't give you room for gossip because that's not what we're talking about here. Anybody that talks negative and always brings a problem, my question to you is, what solution do you propose? Because if you're not bringing a solution, then you're bringing the same problem that everybody else knows about, right? So the key is bringing those solutions in your communication. And I really want to make sure that we establish that fact. Now, as an organization, I think we have so much room to improve in this particular area. We're committing to being accountable to you so that we can start developing systems to start building for 3, 4, and 5, which we'll talk about in a minute. But again, guys, it's all about understanding our purpose that we're together with. It's all about getting clear expectations of where we're going and what our objectives are. And then, of course, making sure that we're moving in the same direction and not creating division without even knowing it. Now, some of us in this part of the communication may also be working on departments where you feel like you're the one that's carrying the weight of the world on that. And if anybody else touches this, it's going to get messed up. And that's trust issue. That goes back to building trust. And I can understand it takes time to be able to let something go and trust that somebody else will do it. So what I want to challenge you to do is ask yourself the question, does my team, if I'm a leader, understand the purpose of our roles? Do they have clarity and expectation of what they need to get done? And am I communicating with them frequently enough so that if something falls off the rails, I can put it right back in with them? So that's the key, guys, is making sure if you're a leader and you're dealing with a department and you're afraid to delegate some of those roles or bring more responsibility for some of your team members, make sure that you use the same exact process. What is the purpose of your department? Are there clear expectations of what that person's going to be doing? And lastly, are you communicating frequently enough on a weekly basis to be able to identify if you need to make adjustments so that you're moving in the same direction, which leads to the next step that I'm going to talk about. Number 4 is coaching and collaboration. Now, I will be honest, I'm the first one to admit when I don't do something with excellence. And for the longest time, one thing, there's an excuse after another, right? We're moving offices because we bought this building. Before that, we had some issues with some of the team members that we had to deal with. We finally get here, we're still dealing with renovation. And there's always an excuse, right? It's one of these days. The reality is, even though I had the right intent to want to coach and work with some of you guys one-on-one, or at least with some of the leaders, something always gets in the way of being able to sit down and develop a coaching session so that I can help identify where you are and help empower you. And so my commitment, and I'm putting it out there so that you can hold me accountable, is that I'm going to be working with some of our leadership team members to develop them so that they can be a stronger arm, a stronger resource to the rest of the team, and really help you to monitor your progress so that we can adjust and make the tweaks that we need in order to achieve our goals. Now, one thing I want to make a point of, and I think is very important, collaboration is great. Obviously, communication and getting a better picture for what it is that you need in order to be better, it's all great. But when you really think about coaching sessions, all the coaching sessions that I have paid for from executives, when I look at it, 80% of the time, the coach was having me talk. They were having me share and answer questions. They were having me process what I was doing. And by the end, they only talked about 20% of the time. And most of those were questions, right? What were they trying to do? They were trying to get me to process my role, to process my goals, and simplify them in a way that I can create the solution myself. And so for those of you that are leaders, the goal here isn't for you to become a dictator. The goal here isn't for you to tell people exactly what to do. Yes, you might need to give some instructions if they don't know what they're doing. But the goal for this step here is to empower them and let the team member come up with their solution of how their strategy is going to work based on their skill sets, their knowledge, and their experience. And so again, guys, the goal here with coaching is just to monitor the progress, to make sure that you have all the tools that you need, and to help you to give you the resources that you need so that you can execute effectively and you can ultimately produce the results and results that you're proud of. That's really what ultimately matters. Now, I want you to visualize this for just a minute. How many of you guys have had a goal or a task or something that you set out to do and it was very difficult? And in fact, halfway through it, you were wondering, why did I do this? Why did I commit to doing this? And you're struggling through it, and you're debating sometimes, almost talking yourself out, giving yourself reasons for why you should quit. But then somehow along the way, somebody ends up talking to you, and in a conversation, they almost convince you, hey, you've gone this far. Why not just keep going? See what happens. And before you know it, you ultimately accomplish your goal, and then you turn back around and you think about this long process that you went through, and you say, man, what a feeling of accomplishment. What a feeling of, you know what, I can do something that's difficult. And then you go back and you tell people the same story, and you say, man, don't ever quit. And before you know it, you're the motivational speaker now to other people, because you remember the journey was what took you there, and you remember the things you learned and the areas in your life that you were challenged, but you persevered, right? And you were successful. The reason why I'm bringing this out is because each and every one of us have been through things like this in the past. And in some cases we've quit, but in some cases we've been successful because we persevered to the end. So what I want to challenge you is think about those moments that were positive. Align yourself with an accountability partner in the team as we begin to coach you and work with you, and just commit that you're going to press forward until you complete what you reach out to do it. Trust me when I say it'll change your life, it'll change those around you, and it'll make you a better role model for those in your family and around you. But again, guys, it's all about working in collaboration with somebody, monitor the progress, encourage you till you get that breakthrough. And lastly, and this is typically one of the other dirty words, which we talk about, consequences. Now, I want to finish kind of my point here with, in life, and I don't care what your perception of consequences, if I say the word consequence, some people immediately get angry or frustrated, or they kind of clam up because they have a negative reference towards consequences. Anytime somebody says consequence, they have a negative reference because most of their consequences were negative, not positive. Some of you, and a very short, small percentage of you, when you say consequences, you think of the word results. You say consequence, yes, it is the fruit of what I produced. And so what I want us to do is to remove the negative connotation that we have towards the word consequence, and understand that in a team, in a little village like what we have here right now, we all depend on each other in order to be successful. And the consequences of our actions can have a positive or negative effect on one another, right? So what I want to challenge you to do is this. When you look at your results and where you're going after, just consider the people around you within your team and say, I am going to produce positive results, because the consequence for that is that it will empower my team. It'll create stability in the company, and it'll give opportunity for those around me to be able to excel. So guys, understand that the real key here is to make sure that we are all pursuing, we're all with a common purpose, with clear expectations, communicating and aligning together, working with accountability and collaboration and coaching, so that we can ultimately hit the greatest result, which is that productivity that makes a difference. The key here, guys, is we learn and we act. We learn and we act. And as we do that, we begin to get a visibility of the results that we're generating. For example, if, and I'll just kind of put it to the team from the sales perspective. If you're in the sales department and you're constantly putting deals on the table and you're doing your very best to put them out there, but your processing and underwriting team, they're not doing their job, the consequence is you're losing your credibility with all these people you're talking to. Nothing is happening, so it's creating friction and negativity. And ultimately, the ripple effect is we're not getting closings or revenue coming in, right? But what you don't even see is that that negative consequence continues even further, because then our passive investor division doesn't have opportunities, and they can't continue to grow their department. And before you know it, the post-closing department, they don't have opportunities to manage and oversee. You see how that ripple effect can impact everyone? And so what I want us to look at is the fact that you have the power to create a positive consequence that impacts everyone in your team. And instead of looking at it from a negative perspective, what we're going to be working on, and that's my commitment as well with Luis, is to start developing a clearer visibility of our results and be able to champion and encourage and foster the positive side and forget about the negativity. Because I know if we all focus on the positive, we will always reach our goals. And if you're not producing and you're not being a part of the vision, I don't even think at that point that I have to do anything about it, because you will know and everyone will know because they're seeing the visibility of positive results. Okay, so what I would say is let's make a commitment to one another that we'll submit under the actual purpose, we'll clarify our expectations, we'll communicate and align together as a team, we'll coach one another and collaborate till we reach the next level, and that we all commit to achieving positive results for us. Now, one thing as a company that we'll commit to you is that as you're reaching those results, we will reward you with opportunity and more revenue income opportunities for you. So understand that's our commitment. But what I'm going to do with Luis is we're going to highlight and give visibility of all the performance. We're going to champion those who are truly stepping up and producing based on what they said they were going to do, which is what they're accountable for. And so as we wrap this up, one of the people that I want to encourage today is Ani. I want to thank you, Ani, for coming here and telling me what you were going to do. You were very straightforward about it. There was no joking, no talking about it. I hardly ever talked to you until lately. I've been finally talking to you, and part of that was because I wanted to see. You told me one day, you will see what I'm worth. Just watch and see what I can do. So I've left you alone, and I can tell you that I've seen a drastic impact, and the consequences that are coming because of your actions are opportunities, closings, business, and growth. And so for that, Ani, congratulations. Thank you so much for making your actions so visible that people should be able to follow that breadcrumb of success that you're building. Keep it up. Trust me, the sky's the limit for you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
No worries, no worries. And the same thing, there's another person too that is always, we just recently talked about, and I'm trying to see if everybody's here right now. So there's two more that I want to, a few more that I want to give a shout out really here. One of them is Darla. You guys know Darla has been with us for a while. She is an amazing woman. One thing that I will say that I love about her as an example, and again, this is again, I'm trying to give you the visibility. Some people just have the ability to be charismatic and connect with people. Steve, you're really good at that. My son Elijah is the same way. He's got, I call it a superhero power, right? Where they just, it doesn't matter where they go, people love them. Other people, they have the ability to step into a room and they command the room. Not because they're beating somebody over the head, but they command the room because when they grab something, they do it with excellence. And immediately it creates a standard of excellence to the point that nobody else questions the room. And when you walk in that room, you almost feel like I have to be accountable to that person, right? So Darla, you have been such an amazing beacon of that light where you take a task, you take 1000% ownership, you look to get it done, you look to find the solutions. And because your standard is so high, it automatically impacts everyone around you to the point that even those that would not necessarily be timid, even they respect your authority that you've imposed on the room when you step in there. So again, thank you, Darla, for being that example. And I really believe that when people step up and do that, it changes the atmosphere in the room. And that's the goal, guys, is to be able to set an atmosphere of excellence. And that's really what I want to challenge you guys. So Darla, thank you so much. Another person too, and I'm championing even more. Amanda, thank you so much. You have no idea what you were getting into, and to be able to step up and really try to do whatever you can to learn and work through it. And I know that working with Monique, especially when you have no idea what's going on, can be challenging because she's expecting things to get done and you got to learn it. So thank you so much for just rolling up your sleeves and asking questions and stepping up. And then the last person, which is what I was checking with Monique. Monique, you've always been an incredible person that is committed. You work hard, you work late, you do what has to get done. And I want to thank you for that. And I know that we appreciate that commitment. And one of the things that I'm going to see with her, because my goal now is to raise her up as a leader as well, is we're going to see her developing those in her team and coaching them and empowering them so that she can free herself up to be able to reach that next level of the business that we need. So again, thank you so much, Monique, for that commitment. And thank you guys for working together. So as a team, we will be working on this process to develop this until we have it down. So we're operating and executing in unity with excellence. And I really hope you understand why this is so important for us to achieve together. So with that said, I'm going to have Christine send out an email to the whole team, and it's going to be a quick survey. All we're going to be asking is these 3 questions. Why is this so important? Because honestly, I want to understand where you are. I want to help you to the best of my abilities. And if you don't speak up, how can I help you, right? And so in this questionnaire that Christine is going to email you, 3 simple questions. Just write out and be completely transparent. Why does this matter to you? Why does your department matter to you? Why does this company matter to you? The second question is, what does success look like for your role? Do you have a clear picture? Just describe it, because that's going to tell me a lot about whether or not you fully get the grasp of what your department and what you do really is all about. And the last one, of course, is how can we help you to set this up for success? What are some things that maybe you're needing resource, maybe you're needing education, maybe you're needing accountability? Share with us what you feel we could bring to the table to help you to set your direction up for success. And I really believe, guys, that if we do this together and we have clarity, we'll be able to empower you so that you can reach that next level. I'll wrap it up with this quote. Accountability is the glue that ties commitment to the result. And I'll say that again. Accountability is the glue that ties commitment to the result. We can all commit to something, but when we hold ourselves accountable to that commitment, that's when you start seeing the results that you're looking to achieve. And so again, that's part of our goal, guys, here is we really want to work together to make sure that we reach the results as a company and as individuals that are empowering each and every one of you. So if I didn't mention your name on the shout out, please understand it's not that I'm not happy with you. I just wanted to highlight some of the people who've given us clear visibility, and we will be working with each and every one of you to help you to grow and become more successful. So with that said, I'm going to open up for any comments or questions some of you may want to share on those 3 questions. By all means, feel free to do that. And if not, we'll wrap it up for the week. So feel free, guys.
I'll add something real quick, because I want you guys to get a clear picture of what this accountability means in each one of your departments. When it comes to sales, right? This means our weekly meeting, when we're meeting on Fridays and we're meeting on Tuesday to review new products, new guidelines, changes in the industry, right? Education and things like that. When it comes to processing and underwriting, well, that's weekly meetings as well to understand what are the challenges, the problems that we're facing. And for other departments, such as investor relations, that means what does the pipeline look like? What is priority? When it comes to the admin side, is what are the new processes, the protocols that we gotta follow to make sure that we're in compliance in all the different areas of the business. So these are weekly meetings, and if you are a leader within your department, we want you guys to have these weekly accountability meetings, because that's the way how you measure the preparation of your team. And remember, I mean, one of the best definitions that I've seen in the industry about what success really means to people, and this really, I embrace that definition, is where people say that success is the crossroads where opportunity meets preparation. And if you are not getting prepared, if you're not sharpening your tools every week with new education, understand where you're going, understand where you're coming from, the challenges that you're facing, if you're not facing this preparation week by week, there's not going to be any growth. So please work with us, guys. Share information on the challenges that you're facing. Share information on the things you think would be better for us to improve, because we don't know it all, and we don't try to claim that we know it all. But we want to make sure that the communication is opened so that we can really have a clear and defined path towards success. So that's what I wanted to leave you guys. But if you are a team leader, please make sure that you guys are setting up weekly meetings for accountability with your team. All right. Thank you.
100%. Anybody else, comments or questions?
You know, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sam.
No, it's all yours.
Just thanks for the kind words.
I just wanted to say it's so refreshing that communication is openly encouraged here. I think that is a true testament to the leadership. And if you've ever worked elsewhere where it's not encouraged, it's a huge difference because, you know, even discussing the problems like with the leads, a lot of people look at speaking up as being a troublemaker, but truth be told, you're actually a trouble solver, because you can't fix a problem that you don't see. A lot of people tend to sweep problems under the rug, but all that happens is you get a pile under the rug that you trip on later. So I think that having that open communication just enables all of us to work smarter and be accountable to each other. So just my hats off to the leadership, because I've worked elsewhere where that wasn't the case, and it's very, very different to be successful, or very limiting in that environment. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And Darla, you were saying?
I just wanted to say thanks for the kind words, Rick. We serve a God of excellence. And that's where I want to be. That's where we always strive to be, is we're serving a God of excellence. Yes, it's within the HIS team group, but we're serving God. And he is a God of excellence, and so that's where I want to strive. So thank you for the kind words, Rick, but all the glory goes to God.
Thank you.
Well said, Darla. You know, Rick, to get to the point of everything, really, we talk about consequence and accountability, and our definition of it typically means punishment. So that's the mindset that has to shift. And it's the same thing when we're in our comfort zone. It's really easy to push. If you're working out, you're in the gym all the time, you're doing this, it's easy to push through that. Hey, man, I'm not quitting on a bad note, or I'm not walking out of the gym until I hit that last shot or 10 in a row or whatever, because that's my zone. That's where I'm at. When it's things that I'm not doing every day or something new that I'm trying, it's a lot easier to quit. And that's the mindset twist that we have to shift in order to progress further, in order for the team to move forward. It's like to continue to do what you do best, but to try and hone your skills to where you may not be as strong, and to try to bring those up. And that's really what it comes down to for us. And that's something we have to look at a daily basis. And that's where the accountability really helps. Our teammates may call us out, but they're doing so to help us, right? To lend that hand up rather than a hand out, or tell you, hey man, forget about it, I'm going to do it. And that's a tendency that most leaders fall into, is like, forget it, I'll get this done. You go take care of what you got to do. I'll finish this up. And that's a teaching issue. So I'm thankful that you and Luis recognize some of the things that we've done over the years that we may not have done correctly, but we're learning. And that's with anybody new that comes on board. You know, there's that old saying that, hey, you guys know real estate in and out, but you suck as teachers. I think we kind of took that to heart, and that shift is taking place. So I thank you both for putting these measures into place.
Thank you. So I guess that's it. That's the last one, guys. So again, let's make this week productive. Be intentional about what you're doing. Schedule what's important. Execute. And by Friday, let's do an email shout out to make sure, hey, I hit my goals this week.
Thank you.
Yes. All righty, guys. Be blessed. Take care.